Let's briefly talk about Burleigh Driving Test Center. So this is one of the test center that you find on the Gold Coast. Last time I covered Southport Driving Test Center. So in this video, I would like to talk about how to get into Burleigh Test Center and also how to get out, because I think it's a little bit tricky, and I'll probably drive around a little bit as well, show you a little bit of a drive that you can expect if you are doing your driving test at Burleigh Driving Test Center. If you are new to the channel, welcome, and consider subscribing to Signal Driving School YouTube channel for more driving related videos. So when you come for your driving test, you need to remember you're gonna arrive 20 minutes before your driving test and go to the office to let the examiner know that you've arrived for the driving test. So that 20 minutes give you enough time to park the car, to go to the office, just in case you are maybe trying to find where the office is and stuff like that. There is some paperwork that they will get you to fill out, and so it's important that you get there on time. If you come late, your driving test may get cancelled and you're gonna have to rebook a new test, which means that you're gonna have to go through all the booking stuff and waiting and stuff like that before you can do another test. After you do all the paperwork, you come back to the car with your driving examiner, and the driving examiner is going to ask you to get inside the car. They will ask you to turn the ignition on, but not to start the car. Now, it's important that you know how to do this, and if you are using your driving instructor's car, they usually show you how to do this before the test. But if you are using your own car, there is actually two ways that you can do this. If your car has a key, you put the key in the ignition and then you turn the key 2 times without starting the engine. So you turn the key until the dashboard light comes on. If your car has a push button, what you need to do is you need to push the power button 2 times without pressing the brakes. If you press the brakes in most cars, the engine is going to start. The examiner just wants you to turn the ignition on, not the engine. And then from there, you will need to wind down your window so that you can hear what the examiner is saying. They will ask you to indicate left, they ask you to indicate right, they also ask you to press the brakes, and then they ask you to beep the horn. So make sure you know how to do that. And then after that, your examiner is gonna come inside the car, and then at that point, when the examiner is inside the vehicle, you can start the engine. Don't start the engine when the examiner is outside. To get inside the test center, if you're coming from this side, you will need to go left. Of course, you can see there's a pedestrian crossing here, so you need to watch out. When you're going to start the test, you need to get into the right lane. There is a roundabout here which you need to go through. At this roundabout, you need to go right indicator, and then you're gonna need to stay in the inside lane. Just before you exit, you need to indicate left, and you need to look to your left, and you need to change lane going to the left. If you stay in the right lane, you're not gonna be able to exit. And then from here, you continue driving along here. There is a few things that you need to look out for when you're driving in this car park. There is a number of pedestrian crossings that you need to look out for. And then now you're gonna go and park your car where the test usually starts. And it's a little bit hidden. You need to drive down this area here, and then you will need to go left, and then after you go left, you're gonna need to turn right, and that's actually where the parking area for driving test is. So turning right here, that's gonna take you to where you need to park your car before you start the driving test. Here, what you will need to do is just reverse your car in. When you are starting your driving test, the best thing to do is to reverse in. And then when you finish in the driving test, the best thing to do is to drive forward. So reverse parking before you start the driving test, and then forward parking when you finish in the driving test. Here I'm gonna start to drive. So I'm driving a manual car, so first thing that I'm going to do is I'm gonna put the car in first, and I'm gonna look around. I'm gonna put on my right indicator. So the only way to get out is to turn right. And then at the end, I'm gonna go left. Again, the only way you can get out is to turn left. Now, if you are driving a manual transmission, this is a little bit of a hill start, so you might need to use a handbrake to do a hill start here because it's kind of like a little bit hilly. And then here, like this motorbike is coming, so give way. And then the first thing that you need to do is to turn right. So indicator right. And then you continue along this road. When you are driving inside the car park, one thing you need to do is to make sure that you keep your speed down. Very important. Now, I want to explain a little bit about this turn here because I think this can catch a lot of people. So if you are coming from this side, one thing you need to remember is this is kind of like a right turn. And remember, when you are turning right, you need to give way to oncoming traffic. So it does look like as if you are kind of like going straight, but if you are turning right here, you need to give way to any cars that are coming from the opposite direction. This is a little bit different, and I think this can catch a lot of people. And if you don't give way here, you fail your driving test, because if you don't give way on the driving test, it's an immediate fail. So remember, even though it does appear that you are going straight, but it's actually a right turn and road rules applies here. So give way to oncoming traffic. And then after you give way, you turn right, make sure you stay left, and again, keeping the speed low. Continuing on, the other things you need to look out for is pedestrians. So there is a pedestrian crossing here, so you need to make sure again you look both sides when you're going through. So for example, here there's these pedestrians who are crossing, so I need to give way to them. After they cross, look both ways again and then continue. So here we're gonna go back to that roundabout again. The speed bump here. So just before this roundabout, there is another pedestrian crossing. So making sure that you give way to the pedestrians. So it's actually very easy to fail the driving test just getting out of this test center. So at this roundabout, if you are starting your test, your examiner will get you to go left, and they could potentially ask you to go left again or turn right. But in this situation here, we're gonna be turning right. So here I'm using the middle lane, but you can also use the far right lane. Because I'm using this middle lane to go right, I need to make sure that I stay in the left lane. So make sure that I kind of like stick with my lane. And after turning right, the speed limit on this road is 80 kilometers per hour. So it's important that we speed up after this. And then here I'm gonna be doing a lane change. So mirror, indicate, blind spot. I'm going to be changing back to the left lane again. So again, I check my mirrors, I indicate left, and then check the blind spot. And then coming up is a set of traffic lights. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn left at the traffic lights. There's like a slip lane. There's also a bicycle lane here, so I check my mirrors and also indicate left and check the blind spot. So for the slip lane, we slow down and make sure that we give way to cars that are coming from the right. It's it's a little bit busy here, especially this was an afternoon. It's important that you take your time. And then after turning, so the speed is 60. And then coming up, we're gonna be doing a right turn. We will need to change lane. So to change lane, check the mirrors, indicate, and also check the blind spot. So we're gonna be turning right. So to turn right, we need to give way to oncoming traffic. Again, here it's a little bit busy, so it's important that we take our time. After turning right, so this is kind of like a little bit more of a quiet area. The speed is 50, and there is a roundabout here that we need to be mindful of. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to share how you'll be coming back from the test. So here I'm heading back to the test center and I'm using the same intersection like before. So this road is 60 and then we're gonna be turning right at the traffic lights. So you can use the far right lane or you can use the middle lane to go right. Those are the only two lanes that can go right. If you are not 100% sure and your examiner has asked you to go right, the best thing to do is to use the far right lane to go right, unless they've specifically asked you to stay in the middle lane. So middle lane or right lane, both of them can go right. And then here on the way back, there was a little bit of congestion, so kind of like took a few minutes. The way you go back to the car park is different from the way you would have started the test. So you need to use this entrance here. So there is a bicycle lane on the left. So we will need to check our mirrors, indicate left, and then get into the turning lane. And then as we come in here, again, we need to keep the speed down. So here we go right, and then we go ahead and park the car. So remember, if you are parking your car at the end of the test, the best way to do it is to forward park. So I wanted to share this video and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you are taking your driving test soon, remember, keep practicing and stay positive. You'll get your license soon. Thanks for watching.